Welcome back, everybody. We're going deep today.
Into the Grammys.
Yeah. 2 ceremonies a decade apart.
Oh, wow.
2005 and 2015.
Okay.
We're going to be looking for shifts
Uh-huh.
in musical trends, recurring nominees,
Yeah.
and maybe even predict where popular music was headed.
Interesting.
So we'll cover major categories,
Yeah.
nominees, winners,
Okay.
and their past Grammy wins.
Awesome.
Think back to your 2005
Yeah.
and your 2015 playlists.
Okay.
How much did your taste evolve over that decade? And do you think the Grammys reflected that change?
Right. It's always interesting to see
Yeah.
how those snapshots in time capture the musical landscape
Yeah,
and even reflect broader cultural shifts.
for sure.
Let's start with 2015, a year where streaming services were really starting to reshape
Big time.
how we listen to music.
Yeah.
The big 4 categories that year,
Okay.
album, record, song of the year, and best new artist,
Yeah.
were packed with talent.
Okay, let's unpack Album of the Year.
Right.
I remember this one being a real conversation starter.
You had Beck's Morning Phase,
Okay.
a kind of introspective, folky sound.
Yeah.
Then there was Beyonce's self-titled album,
Wow.
a visual and sonic feast that really pushed boundaries.
Uh-huh.
Ed Sheeran was in the mix with X,
Right.
representing a more pop-driven singer-songwriter sound.
Right.
Sam Smith's In the Lonely Hour
Wow.
brought those powerful ballads to the forefront.
Right?
And then you had Pharrell Williams' Girl
Oh, yeah.
riding the wave of Happy,
Big time.
which was just inescapable that year.
What a diverse mix.
Yeah.
Did any of those nominees have previous Grammy wins?
Beck had won before
Okay.
in the alternative rock categories.
Okay.
But this nomination was a step into a much bigger spotlight.
Yeah,
Beyonce was already a Grammy darling
of course.
with
yeah.
a slew of awards
Uh-huh.
for her previous work,
Right.
both solo and with Destiny's Child.
Yeah. Ed Sheeran was a relative newcomer at this point,
Right.
and this nomination really solidified his crossover success.
Right.
Sam Smith and Pharrell Williams
Okay.
were also first-time nominees
Uh,
in this category,
okay.
though Pharrell had won previously
Right.
for his production work.
So a mix of established names
Right,
and up-and-comers
exactly.
who took home the award.
Beck won for Morning Phase.
Wow.
It was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
I think for many people,
Uh-huh.
Beyonce was considered a strong contender,
Right.
given the impact
Yeah.
of her self-titled album.
For sure.
Now for Record of the Year.
Right.
This is always a fun one.
It is.
Because it's about that one perfect song.
Right.
That sonic moment.
That one moment.
What were we listening to in 2015?
Yeah.
It was a year
Uh-huh.
of undeniable earworms.
Okay.
You had Iggy Azalea
Okay.
featuring Charlie XCX
Right.
with
Yeah.
Fancy,
Yeah.
which really brought trap influences.
Yeah. Into the pop mainstream.
Big time.
Then there was Beyonce's Drunken Love,
Okay.
showcasing a more
Yeah.
experimental and raw side of her sound.
Yeah.
Meghan Trainor's All About That Bass
Wow, what a song.
sparked conversations about body image and self-acceptance,
Right.
all wrapped in a catchy pop package.
Great.
Sam Smith's Stay With Me
Right.
continued his reign of heart-wrenching ballads. And then, of course, you had Taylor Swift's Shake It Off, a pop anthem that seemed to be everywhere.
There's so many hits.
Right.
It must have been tough
Uh-huh.
to choose a winner.
It was a tight race.
Yeah.
But Sam Smith took home the award for Stay With Me.
Wow.
It solidified his breakthrough success that year. This was his first win
Okay.
in this category.
Right.
But as we'll see,
Uh-huh.
not his last Grammy.
Okay, let's move on to Song of the Year,
Right.
where the focus is on the songwriting itself.
Yes.
What were the standout tracks?
Yeah. We had a fascinating mix
Okay.
of established songwriters and rising stars.
Okay.
Meghan Trainor and Kevin Katish
Okay.
were nominated for All About That Bass,
Right.
representing a more pop-driven songwriting style.
Right.
Sia Furler and Jesse Shatkin
Okay.
were nominated for Chandelier,
Oh, wow.
showcasing Sia's unique voice
Yeah,
and lyrical depth.
for sure.
Max Martin, Shellback, and Taylor Swift got the nod
Right.
for Shake It Off,
Right.
a testament to Max Martin's continued pop prowess.
He's a hit maker.
Sam Smith's team was back
Okay.
with Stay With Me, and then you had Hozier's Take Me to Church,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
a powerful and soulful track that really resonated.
That's quite a range
Yeah.
from pure pop to soulful reflections. Who took home the Song of the Year Grammy?
It was another win for
Okay.
Sam Smith.
Rad.
His songwriting team, James Napier and William Phillips,
Okay.
for Stay With Me.
Wow.
A clean sweep for them. In those two major categories,
Really?
record and Song of the Year.
And finally, Best New Artist.
Okay.
This is always exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's about who's breaking through
Right.
and making a splash.
Uh-huh.
Who were the contenders in 2015?
The nominees were Bastille,
Okay.
representing that anthemic indie pop sound.
Right.
Iggy Azalea,
Okay.
who, as we mentioned, brought trap into the pop landscape.
Right.
Brandy Clark, with her unique voice in country music.
Yeah.
Sam Smith,
Okay.
continuing his meteoric rise.
Oh.
And Haley Steinfeld,
Yeah.
venturing from acting into music.
Wow. A real testament
Right.
to how diverse
Uh-huh.
the music scene was that year.
Yeah.
So who took home the coveted Best New Artist Grammy?
You guessed it,
I'm going to guess.
Sam Smith. It was a clean sweep for him.
Unbelievable.
In all three categories, he was nominated in
Wow.
a truly remarkable feat for a new artist.
Okay, so we've covered the highlights
Uh-huh.
of the 2015 Grammys.
Okay.
Now let's rewind a decade
All right.
and see what was happening in the
Hopefully.
music world
Yeah.
back in 2005.
Absolutely.
A very different time,
Yes.
both musically and culturally.
Think back to 2005.
Okay,
Social media was in its infancy.
right.
Streaming services didn't really exist.
Wow.
And we were still very much in a post 9/11 world.
Wow, yeah.
It was a time of transition and uncertainty,
For sure.
and you could hear that reflected in the music.
So paint the picture for us.
Okay.
What was the Album of the Year category
Yeah.
looking like in 2005?
It was a mix of established stars
Oh.
and bold new voices.
Right.
Green Day was nominated for American Idiot,
Oh, wow.
a rock opera
Yeah.
that channeled the anxieties and anger of the time.
Right.
Alicia Keys was in the running,
Oh, wow.
with The Diary of Alicia Keys
Perfect.
showcasing her soulful vocals
Yeah.
and introspective songwriting.
Ah.
Usher's Confessions brought that smooth R&B sound to the forefront,
Right.
while Kanye West's debut,
Okay.
The College Dropout,
Huge.
was already shaking up the hip-hop world.
Wow, yeah.
And then there was Ray Charles's Genius Loves Company,
Wow.
a beautiful swan song from a legend.
What a lineup.
Right.
It's amazing to see how these albums,
Yeah.
so different in style and genre, all captured something about the spirit of 2005.
Right.
Did any of these nominees have previous Grammy wins?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Ray Charles, of course,
Yeah.
was a Grammy veteran
Right.
with a career spanning decades
Wow.
and numerous awards to his name.
For sure.
Alicia Keys had already won several Grammys
Okay.
for her debut album Songs in A Minor,
Right.
which was a huge success just a few years prior.
Wow.
Usher had won in the R&B categories before,
Right.
and Green Day had a Grammy
Okay.
for Best Alternative Music Album under their belt.
Right.
Kanye West, though, was a first-time nominee, and his nomination for The College Dropout was a sign of the impact he was already making.
Wow.
So with all these established names
Yeah.
and a groundbreaking debut album in the mix, who won Album of the Year in 2005?
Nice.
The Grammy went to Ray Charles
Okay.
for Genius Loves Company.
Wow.
It was a posthumous award,
Oh, wow.
making it even more poignant.
Yeah.
A beautiful tribute to a legendary career.
What a special moment that must have been. Okay, let's shift gears to Record of the Year.
All right.
What were the sonic moments defining 2005?
The nominees were a real mix of genres and styles, reflecting the diversity of the music scene at the time.
For sure.
The Black Eyed Peas were nominated for Let's Get It Started, bringing their energetic hip-hop fusion to the forefront.
Yeah.
Green Day was back with American Idiot, the title track from their politically charged rock opera.
Nice.
Lonely Boys had a hit with Heaven, showcasing their bluesy Tex-Mex sound. Ray Charles and Norah Jones were nominated for their duet, Here We Go Again.
Oh, wow.
A beautiful blend of soul and jazz.
Wow.
And then you had Usher featuring Lil Jon and Ludacris with, a club banger that dominated the airwaves.
What a mix.
Right.
From socially conscious anthems
Uh-huh.
to feel-good party tracks.
Yeah.
2005 had it all.
It did.
So who took home the Grammys
Okay.
for Record of the Year?
The award went to Ray Charles and Norah Jones for Here We Go Again.
Wow.
Another posthumous win for Ray Charles, cementing his legacy.
A well-deserved honor, I'd say.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's move on to Song of the Year.
Right.
Where the focus is on the craft of songwriting.
Yes.
What were the standouts in 2005?
The nominees were a mix of established hitmakers and rising stars. John Mayer was nominated for Daughters.
Oh, yeah.
A heartfelt ballad that resonated with its emotional depth.
Yeah.
Alicia Keys was back with If I Ain't Got You.
Oh, wow.
Showcasing her soulful songwriting prowess. Kanye West earned a nomination for Jesus Walks.
Okay.
A thought-provoking track that blended faith and social commentary.
Wow.
Hoobastank was in the running with The Reason, a radio-friendly rock ballad that captured a certain angst of the time.
Yeah.
And then you had Joss Stone. You had Me, showcasing her powerful vocals and bluesy influences.
What a range.
Right.
From introspective ballads to socially conscious anthems.
Right.
2005 had no shortage of songwriting talent.
Exactly.
So who took home the Song of the Year Grammy?
The award went to John Mayer for Daughters.
Okay.
This wasn't his first Grammy.
Right.
He had already won in the pop vocal categories before, but this win solidified his status as a major songwriting force.
Wow.
And finally, let's look at the Best New Artist category for 2005.
Right.
Who are the fresh faces making waves in the music world?
Yeah, who were they?
It was a diverse group, reflecting the changing sounds of the time.
Okay.
Maroon 5 was nominated.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing their catchy pop rock sound to the mainstream.
Yeah.
Lonely Boys were recognized for their bluesy Tex-Mex flavor.
Right.
Joss Stone was nominated for her soulful vocals and bluesy influences.
Right.
Gretchen Wilson represented the world of country music, bringing a strong female voice to the genre.
Right.
And then, of course, there was Kanye West. Whose groundbreaking debut album had already made him a force to be reckoned with.
So many talented artists.
Right.
All at the beginning of their journeys.
Yeah.
Who won the Best New Artist Grammy in 2005?
The award went to Maroon 5. Their debut album had produced a string of hits, including This Love and She Will Be Loved. And their catchy pop rock sound clearly resonated with a wide audience.
I remember those songs being everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our two snapshots.
Right.
The 2015 Grammys and the 2005 Grammys. What jumps out at you when we look at these years side by side?
Yeah.
What are the similarities? What are the differences?
One striking difference is the way music was being consumed. In 2015, streaming services were becoming the dominant force.
Right.
While in 2005, it was still all about albums and radio play.
Right.
This shift had a profound impact on how music was being made, marketed, and experienced.
That's a huge point.
Yeah.
The rise of streaming definitely changed the game.
Yeah, it did.
What about the music itself? Do you see any major genre shifts or trends emerging?
In 2015, we saw the emergence of track influences in pop music with artists like Iggy Azalea bringing that sound to the mainstream.
Yeah.
In 2005, hip-hop was already a major force, but it hadn't yet achieved the same level of crossover success that it would have a decade later.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how certain sounds evolve and gain mainstream acceptance over time.
Yeah.
What about the overall mood or feeling of the music? Do you sense any differences between 2005 and 2015?
In 2005, there was a certain rawness and angst in the music, reflecting the post-9/11 world and the anxieties of the time.
Right.
Artists like Green Day and Kanye West tapped into that feeling, while others like Ray Charles and Norah Jones offered a sense of solace and reflection.
Right.
In 2015, the mood felt more diverse, with everything from introspective ballads to party anthems to socially conscious messages.
It's fascinating how music can act as a mirror, reflecting the social and cultural landscape of its time.
Absolutely.
And the Grammys, for all their imperfections, provide a glimpse into those reflections.
Yeah.
They capture a moment in time, a snapshot of what was resonating with listeners in shaping the musical landscape.
Yeah.
It's been a fascinating journey so far.
It has.
Exploring these two Grammy ceremonies,
yeah,
a decade apart, but we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah.
Join us for part 2.
Okay.
Where we'll delve deeper into some specific categories.
Okay.
Explore listener feedback. And maybe even make a few bold predictions.
Oh, fun.
About the future of music.
Sounds good. It's amazing how music can transport you back to a specific time and place, isn't it?
It really is. And speaking of time travel, we've been exploring the Grammys of 2005 and 2015.
Right.
We've talked about the big wins. But I think it's time to dig a little deeper into some of the nominees who maybe didn't take home the trophy, but were still part of shaping the musical landscape.
I agree. Sometimes those almost wins can be just as revealing as the actual winners, giving us a more nuanced picture of the trends and conversations happening in music at the time.
Let's go back to 2015 for a moment.
Okay.
We talked about Sam Smith's incredible sweep.
Right.
But I want to revisit Album of the Year.
Okay.
Beyoncé's self-titled album was nominated.
Yes.
A visual and sonic masterpiece that really pushed boundaries, especially with its surprise release strategy.
Beyoncé was already a huge star.
Yeah.
But this album felt like a real turning point in her career.
Yeah.
A declaration of her creative independence. It sparked conversations not only about her artistry, but also about the evolving relationship between artists and the music industry in the digital age.
And a surprise release.
Oh, yeah.
It took everyone by storm.
Right.
No pre-release hype, no singles.
Yeah.
Just boom. The album was there.
Right.
Such a power move.
It definitely shook things up.
Yeah.
And set a precedent for how artists, especially those with a huge following, could control their narratives and connect with fans directly.
And let's not forget Pharrell Williams.
Right.
With Girl Happy.
Yeah.
Was a global phenomenon that year.
It was.
Bringing joy to millions and topping charts worldwide. Even though it didn't win Album of the Year.
Right.
Its cultural impact was undeniable.
Happy was more than just a song.
Yeah.
It was a mood, a movement.
I like that.
It tapped into a universal desire for positivity and connection.
Right.
Transcending language and cultural barriers.
Okay, let's rewind to 2005 now. And the Album of the Year category.
Yeah.
You had Green Day's American Idiot.
Right.
A raw, politically charged rock opera that captured the angst and anxieties of the post-9/11 world.
American Idiot was a bold and ambitious project for Green Day.
Okay.
The departure from their earlier, more pop-punk sound. It resonated with a generation grappling with disillusionment and uncertainty.
And speaking of bold and ambitious, there was Kanye West's debut album, The College Dropout.
Yeah.
It was such a fresh and different take on hip-hop, challenging conventions and paving the way for a new wave of artists.
Kanye's production, sampling, and lyrics, it all felt innovative and audacious. He brought a new level of introspection and vulnerability to hip-hop, paving the way for artists like Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
This nomination was just the beginning of what would become a truly influential career.
Okay, let's shift gears to Best New Artist.
Right.
In 2015, we had Iggy Azalea.
Right.
Who made waves with her trap-influenced sound, bringing a different energy to the pop landscape.
Iggy's nomination sparked conversations about representation and genre boundaries, particularly regarding women in hip-hop. Her success, though, short-lived, opened doors for other female artists in the genre.
Right.
Paving the way for a more inclusive and diverse hip-hop scene.
Now, back in 2005, in that same category, we had Joss Stone and Gretchen Wilson, both powerful female voices in their respective genres. Joss Stone had that soulful, bluesy vibe, while Gretchen Wilson brought that country edge.
It's interesting to see how the Grammys try to capture the breadth of emerging talent. Highlighting artists who represent different genres and perspectives. It speaks to the constant evolution of music and the search for fresh voices.
And of course, we can't forget Kanye West, who's also nominated for Best New Artist in 2005.
Yeah.
Talk about a debut that made a statement.
It's fascinating to look back and see how these artists nominated in different years went on to have incredible careers. It shows that the Grammys while just a snapshot in time can often identify artists who are shaping the future of music.
Okay, we've explored the wins, delved into some of the nominees.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about those artists who were nominated in both 2005 and 2015.
Right.
Showcasing their staying power and evolution.
Interesting.
Kanye West is a prime example.
Yeah.
Nominated for Best New Artist in 2005. And then for Album of the Year in 2015.
Kanye's journey is remarkable. Yeah. He went from being a critically acclaimed producer to becoming one of the most influential and controversial figures in music.
Yeah.
His evolution, both musically and personally, has been a fascinating one to observe.
His constant reinvention is something else.
Right.
Now, were there any other artists who appeared in both years?
Okay.
Even if different categories?
Yes. Common was nominated for Best Rap Solo Performance in 2005 for his song Go.
Right.
Fast forward to 2015, and he won Best Rap Album for Nobody's Smiling.
It's great to see artists like Common not only having longevity, but also pushing themselves creatively and continuing to evolve over time.
Absolutely.
Speaking of evolution, I'm curious about those artists who were repeat nominees or winners in either year, who had that kind of staying power.
In 2015, Beyoncé, even though she didn't win Album of the Year, had already won a staggering 17 Grammys at that point.
Wow.
She was already a powerhouse, consistently pushing boundaries and setting new standards in the music industry.
A true icon.
Right.
And in 2005, were there any artists with a long history of Grammy wins or nominations?
Absolutely. Ray Charles, who posthumously won Album of the Year for Genius Loves Company, had a career that spanned decades.
Yeah.
He'd already won 12 Grammys before that win.
Wow.
And his influence on music is immeasurable, shaping genres like soul, R&B, and jazz.
It's incredible to think about the impact some of these artists have had on the world of music. It makes you realize that the Grammys are just one chapter in their story.
Exactly. It's a celebration of a particular moment. But the true legacy of an artist extends far beyond any award show.
Okay, so we've seen how individual artists evolved and achieved recognition, but I'm also curious about how the Grammys themselves have evolved.
Okay.
What were some of the other categories present in both 2005 and 2015?
Right.
Did any trends emerge?
Okay.
Did any categories disappear?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Both years had the core genre categories, pop rock, R&B, country rap, and so on.
Right.
But we also see some interesting shifts that reflect changes in the music industry and broader cultural conversations.
So the main genres remained pretty consistent.
Yeah.
But what about changes within those genres?
One notable shift is the increasing recognition of subgenres.
Okay.
For example, in 2015, there was a category for Best Rap Song Collaboration, recognizing the growing popularity of artists blending rap and singing styles. This category didn't exist in 2005, reflecting a shift in how hip-hop was evolving and becoming more fluid in its boundaries.
That's a really interesting observation.
Yeah.
It shows how the Grammys try to stay relevant and adapt to new trends in music.
Right.
Did any categories disappear between 2005 and 2015?
Yes. There were a few subtle but significant changes.
Okay.
For example, in 2005, there are separate categories for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance and Best Male Rock Vocal Performance. By 2015, those categories had been merged into the gender-neutral Best Rock Performance.
That's a significant shift.
It is.
Reflecting a growing awareness of gender inclusivity in the music industry.
Yeah.
It's great to see the Grammys making those kinds of changes to recognize talent regardless of gender.
It highlights the importance of representation and the evolution of award shows like the Grammys to reflect larger cultural conversations happening in society.
It makes you wonder what categories might exist in the future that we haven't even thought of yet. What new sounds or genres will emerge?
Right.
And how will the Grammys adapt to recognize them?
It's an exciting thought.
Yeah.
Music is constantly evolving. And the Grammys, in their own way, are a reflection of that evolution.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that music is a living, breathing art form.
For sure.
Constantly pushing boundaries and redefining itself.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
The wins, the snubs, the evolution of categories, the legacy of some of these amazing artists, and even how the Grammys themselves have changed.
Right.
But I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
The cultural context surrounding these 2 years, what was happening in the world in 2005 and 2015.
Yeah.
That might have influenced the music being made and celebrated.
That's a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Music doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Right.
It's a product of its time, reflecting the hopes, fears, and anxieties of the world around it.
So 2005.
Okay.
What was the vibe?
Yeah.
What was happening in the world that might have shaped the music of that year?
2005 was still very much shaped by the aftermath of 9/11 and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Right.
There was a sense of anxiety and uncertainty in the air, a feeling that the world had irrevocably changed.
Yeah.
The political climate was polarized, and there was a growing sense of disillusionment, especially among young people.
Yeah, it was a heavy time.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like the world was holding its breath, unsure of what would come next.
Yeah.
How did that translate into the music?
You can hear it in albums like Green Day's American Idiot, which channeled that anger, frustration, and questioning of authority into a powerful rock opera.
Right.
It resonated with a generation feeling betrayed by the systems they grew up with.
Even in lighter genres, there was a sense of wanting to escape the heaviness.
Yeah.
A longing for something uplifting and hopeful.
Absolutely.
Think about the Black Eyed Peas. Let's get it started.
Oh, yeah.
It was a high-energy anthem of unity and optimism, a welcome distraction from the anxieties of the time.
Yeah.
And what about 2015?
Okay.
What was the cultural backdrop then?
By 2015, the world had moved on in some ways. New challenges had emerged. Social media was becoming increasingly dominant, shaping how we interacted with each other and the world around us. The rise of smartphones and constant connectivity had created a sense of both connection and isolation. A paradox that was reflected in the music.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It felt like we were all trying to figure out how to navigate this new digital landscape.
Yeah.
Both personally and socially. How did that shape the music of 2015?
You can see it in the rise of artists like Kendrick Lamar, who tackled complex social issues head-on in his music. To Pimp a Butterfly was a masterpiece of modern hip-hop, exploring themes of race identity and inequality against the backdrop of a rapidly changing America.
It wasn't just the lyrics, even the production. Felt like it was pushing boundaries and experimenting with new sounds and textures, reflecting that sense of exploration and change happening in society.
Exactly. And alongside those complex narratives, you had artists like Taylor Swift, who was mastering the art of crafting catchy pop anthems that captured the universal experiences of love, heartbreak, and growing up in a digital world.
It's fascinating to see how music can both reflect and shape cultural landscape.
Yeah.
It's like a conversation between artists and listeners, each influencing the other.
And the Grammys, in their own way, act as a mediator in that conversation, highlighting those voices and sounds that are resonating most powerfully at a given moment.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
But we've only scratched the surface of these 2 years in Grammy history. We see musical shifts, cultural influences, and the enduring power of music to connect us, inspire us, and challenge us.
We've also seen how artists evolve, how the music industry adapts, and how the Grammys themselves reflect broader societal changes.
Join us for part 3.
Okay.
Where we'll explore listener feedback.
All right.
Delve into some more specific categories.
Okay.
And maybe even make a few bold predictions.
Oh, fun.
About the future of music.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our Grammy Deep Dive. It's been fun exploring the music of 2005 and 2015, seeing how those years reflected the cultural landscape and shaped the sounds we were all listening to.
Yeah.
But now I'm excited to shift gears
and
hear from you.
All right.
We asked our listeners to share their thoughts on these two Grammy ceremonies. Their favorite musical moments and any insights that popped up during our conversation. And wow, did you deliver?
The responses have been fantastic. It's so clear that music holds a special place in people's hearts, evoking memories, emotions, and personal connections. Many listeners shared stories of where they were in 2005 and 2015.
Oh, wow.
What they were listening to and how the music of those years shaped their own journeys.
One listener pointed out that 2005 marked the rise of YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
A whole new way to discover music.
It was.
It was like the Wild West of online video.
And
suddenly you could watch any music video, any live performance. Any obscure track you could think of.
It really was a game changer.
Yeah.
YouTube democratized access to music in a way that had never been possible before. It also gave artists a new platform to connect directly with their fans, bypassing traditional gatekeepers like record labels and radio stations.
Speaking of changing the game, several listeners brought up the impact of streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music, which were really taking off in 2015. It's amazing to think about.
It is.
How much our listening habits have shifted in just a few years.
The rise of streaming has been a double-edged sword.
Yeah, in what way?
On the one hand, it's made music more accessible than ever before. You can listen to practically any song, anytime, anywhere.
No, it's amazing.
On the other hand, it's also raised questions about artist compensation and the value of music in a digital age.
It's definitely a complex issue with no easy answers, but I think it's undeniable that streaming has had a profound impact.
It has.
On both the music industry and how we experience music as listeners.
Absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see how those trends continue to evolve in the years to come.
For sure.
But for now, let's dive back into our Grammy time capsules.
I like that.
And explore some specific categories that caught our eye.
What stood out to you beyond the big four we discussed earlier?
I'm fascinated by how certain genres evolve over time. So I'm keen to hear your thoughts on the Best Rap Album category.
All right.
Both in 2005 and 2015.
In 2005, the award went to Kanye West.
It did.
For The College Dropout. It was his first Grammy win.
It was.
And it really solidified his status as a visionary force in hip-hop. His unique approach to production, his introspective lyrics, and his willingness to challenge conventions made him stand out from the crowd.
He was different.
That album was a game changer.
It was.
He wasn't afraid to be vulnerable,
to
sample soul and gospel classics, to bring a different energy to hip-hop.
Exactly.
And then fast forward to 2015. And the Best Rap Album Grammy goes to Kendrick Lamar.
It does.
For To Pimp a Butterfly.
Such a good album.
This album was a masterpiece of social commentary.
It was.
A complex and ambitious work of art.
That
explored themes of race identity and inequality.
It was deep.
It wasn't just an album, it was a statement. He was pushing boundaries, not just musically, but also lyrically and thematically.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting to see how in just a decade, the landscape of hip-hop had shifted so dramatically.
It's a testament to the evolution of the genre and its ability to reflect the changing times. Hip-hop has always been about more than just beats and rhymes. It's a powerful form of expression. And artists like Kanye West and Kendrick Lamar have used it to amplify important voices and conversations.
Okay, let's shift gears to a genre near and dear to my heart. Rock music. What was happening in the rock categories? In both 2005 and 2015.
In 2005, the award for Best Rock Album went to Green Day for American Idiot.
Oh, yeah.
A raw and politically charged rock opera that captured the angst and disillusionment of a generation grappling with the post-9/11 world.
I remember feeling like that album spoke directly to my anxieties and frustrations. It was a cathartic experience hearing those feelings reflected in music.
It was a powerful and timely statement.
It was.
And then 10 years later, the Best Rock Album Grammy went to Beck for Morning Phase.
Okay.
A much more introspective and mellow album.
Right.
It was a departure from his earlier, more experimental work.
Yeah.
But it still showcased his songwriting prowess.
Right.
And his ability to create atmospheric and evocative soundscapes.
It's interesting to see that shift.
It is.
From the raw energy of Green Day to the more contemplative vibe of Beck.
Yeah.
It speaks to the diversity within the rock genre itself.
Right.
But it also makes you wonder if it reflects a shift in the overall mood of rock music.
Yeah.
Or even a changing of the guard.
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely highlights the cyclical nature of musical trends. Sometimes we crave raw energy and rebellion, while other times we seek solace and introspection.
I feel that.
And often it's the artists who can tap into those shifting moods, who resonate most deeply with listeners.
Okay, I'm having so much fun.
Me too.
Revisiting these years.
Yeah.
But I can't help but look ahead.
Okay.
We've talked about how music is constantly evolving. So what do you think the Grammy landscape will look like in, say, 10 years?
Okay.
What new trends or genres might emerge?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
It's like peering into a musical crystal ball.
I like that.
We've already seen the rise of genre-bending artists blurring the lines between hip-hop, pop, R&B, and electronic music.
Right.
I think we'll continue to see more of that with artists defying categorization and creating sounds that draw from multiple influences.
The very notion of genre might become even more fluid and less defined. It'll be about the overall vibe, the feeling, the artistic statement, rather than fitting neatly into a box.
Exactly. And with technology constantly advancing, who knows what new sounds and production techniques will emerge. We might see categories for AI-generated music, virtual reality performances, or soundscapes created from data and algorithms.
Wow, yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty of music. It's always surprising us, pushing boundaries and evolving in ways we can't even imagine.
Right.
The Grammys, for all their flaws and controversies, give us a glimpse into that evolution.
We do.
A snapshot of what resonated with us at a particular moment in time.
Before we wrap up this deep dive,
I'm
curious to hear those album recommendations you promised.
You mentioned Block Party's Silent Alarm for 2005. And Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly for 2015.
Right.
What makes these albums stand out for you?
Okay.
And why should our listeners check them out?
Block Party's Silent Alarm, while not a massive commercial success, perfectly captures the energy of the indie rock scene in 2005. It's raw, angular, full of anxieties, reflecting a generation coming of age in a post-9/11 world.
Yeah.
It's an album that still sounds fresh and relevant today.
Wow.
And it's a great example of how music can channel the anxieties of its time.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that sometimes those hidden gems, the albums that didn't necessarily win awards or top the charts, can be the most powerful and enduring.
Exactly. And for 2015, Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly is simply a masterpiece of modern hip-hop.
Right.
It's not just an album. It's a social commentary, a work of art that tackles complex issues like race, identity, and inequality head-on.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
It's an album that will make you think, feel, and question the world around you.
Both incredible choices. I'm adding them both to my playlist right now.
Me too. And there you have it, folks. A deep dive into 2 fascinating years in Grammy history.
We did it.
We've seen how music evolves, how it reflects the times, and how it continues to connect, move us, and challenge us.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you all so much for listening.
On this musical journey.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.
For another deep dive into the world of sound and culture.